The election is over. Canada has a Liberal government led by Mark Carney, so it's time to talk about Danielle Smith. And after her Tuesday statement about the election, time to have a frank conversation with Albertans. Your premier is the Canadian incarnation of Donald Trump. Her strategy may be different, but her tactics are right out of the MAGA playbook, the age-old populist playbook that has given us dictators and authoritarians down over the centuries. Don't think she's a populist? Shortly after she became premier in 2022, she was on Popular Real Talk with Ryan Jesperson and took issue with my characterization of her as an authoritarian populist. She prefers, she says, to be thought of as a libertarian populist. To drive the point home that she's a populist, political science professor Dwayne Bratt told me last year in an interview that Smith is a radical populist. I'm sticking with authoritarian populism, which weaponizes democratic legitimacy to pursue anti-democratic outcomes. Authoritarian populists say one thing while pursuing a completely opposite agenda. Up is down, right is left. Take this line from her election statement posted early this morning, April 29th. Quote, Liberals and New Democrats demeaned and demonized Albertans, our values, and our industries for political gain. End quote. This is a flat-out lie. I read plenty about Alberta's relationship with Ottawa, and I can't think of a comment that fits the definitions of demean and demonize. Federal Liberal politicians, whether it was Prime Ministers Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney, or ministers with Alberta-centric responsibilities like Stephen Guilbeault and Jonathan Wilkinson, were always polite and restrained, even when disagreeing with Smith or the Alberta oil industry that she champions. I've read enough Smith press releases over the past 3 years to say without hesitation that it is Smith who demeans and demonizes her federal adversaries, often in language that is over the top and inappropriate for a premier. Her ministerial lackeys, Brian Jean in Energy and Rebecca Schultz in Environment, follow her lead to the letter. Read their social media accounts if you need proof. Here's another whopper from today's statement. Quote, Albertans are proud Canadians that want this nation to be strong, prosperous, and united. But we will no longer have our industries threatened and our resources landlocked by Ottawa. End quote. This claim is not backed by the evidence. Alberta oil production grew slightly more than 1 million barrels per day since the federal Liberals were elected in 2015, while natural gas production grew 5 to 10%. The Liberals approved 2 pipeline projects, Trans Mountain Expansion and Line 3, that added 950,000 barrels per day of oil export capacity, including buying and building TMX at a cost of $34 billion of taxpayers' dollars. No, Alberta didn't get everything it asked for. In its perfect world, Northern Gateway, Energi East, and Keystone XL would have been built. More LNG projects would have been built. But Canada is a confederation of 10 provinces and 3 territories, not Alberta's rubber stamp. No one gets everything they want. Here's the point I'm building up to. She concludes today's statement by saying that in coming months, quote, we will have an opportunity to discuss our province's future, assess various options for strengthening and protecting our province against future hostile acts from Ottawa, and to ultimately choose a path forward. Even the most casual observer of Alberta politics knows that this is a nod to the Alberta separatists, who Smith never tires of playing footsie with. But if Albertans are going to have a conversation about Alberta's future, then those who are ardent supporters of Confederation must also have a voice, even if Smith doesn't want to give them one. The message from those Albertans must be that Ottawa and the rest of Canada isn't the enemy. That would be Donald Trump. Alberta needs all the friends it can get, right now if Trump continues to threaten its oil and gas exports to the United States. The government of Canada can be Alberta's biggest friend. It has the financial resources and the regulatory powers to both protect and improve the competitiveness of the Alberta economy, especially the energy sectors of electricity, oil, and gas. But populists like Smith and Trump aren't the friend-making type. They need enemies. It's baked into their political model. Enemies, even fake ones, scare citizens into supporting politicians and policies they normally wouldn't. Fear and rage, the essence of populism. Alberta needs leaders who disavow populist tactics, who are willing to forge consensus, not sow division and polarization. Where are those Alberta leaders? Stand up if you're out there. Alberta, Canada, needs you to step forward and lead. If you don't, Danielle Smith will have the field to herself and her populist agenda. And that would be very bad news for Canada.